All right, what's up, everybody? We are on the penultimate episode of Season 4, Part 2 of Attack on Titan. I see that it is called Retrospective, which is very interesting because we've already done a lot of retrospecting, I guess, and just looking back at, all the events that have happened, trying to put things sort of to rest, if that makes sense, of course, during the huge campfire episode. That happened recently, but I myself obviously just came off of the previous episode trailer, which was great. Very saddening, tragic in general, because of course, basically what it came down to is that our guys were very reluctant to fight anybody anymore, right? And they want to come to this peaceful solution, but realized at the same time that to secure the boat from the Hizuru clan, that the Jaegerists, Flox guys, were basically holding people from the Hizuru clan hostage over. To do that, there would have to be some bloodshed, and they tried their very best to prevent it, but in the very end, of course, they weren't able to. And so Armin, for a second there, almost actually got killed, which was insane. Connie had to, kill a bunch of guys there, which did not seem to have done much good to his mental state, and I wonder what that means for him moving forward. Reiner and Annie went back into action as their colossal and female titan, which was in one way awesome to see, but at the same time, again, the more that the show goes on, the less that I feel excited about the fighting still taking place, just as these characters are. And that's really all that I can say, I guess, for now, right? It's like, where do we go from here is the big question, and, I think where we go from here and what I expect for Season 4, Part 2 still to basically end in, I guess, is for them to get to Eren and then to see how Eren will respond. I assume that's kind of where it's going to be leaving us off, and I have a question, knowing that there are still 8 episodes or something coming up. Eren is not just going to go along with that plan because, it could be possible, but like at the same time, it's like, then what, right? And how do you wrap that up in 8 episodes to resolve the whole world situation that is going on here? It's still so hard for me to figure out. Because it's clear that, again, if Eren goes along with that plan at the end of the day, then they'll have to think of something entirely again, right? And it's going to span probably a bunch of years trying to figure out exactly how they can protect themselves and how the world can go on as it is without, people constantly fighting each other and them being at risk. It's impossible. It's impossible to wrap that up within a couple episodes. So the only thing I can imagine is that there's going to be something more definitive to it. And so, that's what we'll, find out about, I guess. I mean, maybe the one thing that I still wanted to talk about, because it's something that I touched on actually in the intro for the previous episode, and as I ended the recording, I'm like, damn, I would have liked to have mentioned a couple more things about it. And that's the thing, knowing now how few episodes we have left here, and that there's only going to be one more after this, I can probably do as much talking as I want in these intros, right? And you wouldn't mind it. So, in the intro for last episode, you might remember that I kind of talked about a topic that the show really is touching on, about how people need to be communicating more and actually laying it all out on the table, because that way there would be less fighting, right? And, it's basically the cause of all fighting usually is that people don't know what others are thinking and they just kind of assume things. And I related it very much sort of to like social media, right? And something that happened to myself where I used to be on Twitter all the time, back in 2015, 16, 17 maybe, or something like that. And kind of ended up myself sort of being stuck in this bubble, and it makes you very sort of unaccepting of other people. And just in general, I guess the huge problem that we have with the state of the world right now, where everybody is spending a lot of their time on the internet, which there's nothing, in my opinion, wrong with that. Or, like I do the very same thing. That's the thing. But I it's like, it's actually sort of a, I don't know. Like, I don't know if this is like a solution that I myself am trying to search for, or how do we get the world to start seeing that maybe as like something that I contemplate about, right? But like, I talked about how, for example, I really like YouTube as a platform, because to me, for the most part, the videos, they are either entertainment, right, or they're very informative. I think what you see nowadays with a lot of the communication for very serious topics as well, right? Like, think about political discussions or something, which this show is full of. A lot of people are having that type of stuff literally on platforms like Twitter too, right? And the one thing that I thought about as well, and why I really feel like it's so not well designed for it whatsoever, is because those platforms are so designed for you to just be scrolling across things and not even taking things in or thinking things through, if that makes sense. A tweet is only like 280 characters, right? And yes, people can do threads or whatever, but nobody actually reads them. Again, it's like constant food for you to get annoyed or upset about, basically, right? And all these social media platforms, except, again, maybe something like YouTube, are like that. Because here on YouTube, for example, what I like about it, I can have this huge discussion here for minutes, and people are listening, and, like, I get to just basically talk about something in depth. Same goes with the show, right? The show has been, this is what I find so awesome about it. We are almost 90 episodes in right now. And at the very beginning of the show, I did not expect for this to become such a deep philosophical, political, expressive narrative, right? It seemed not necessarily straightforward. There were a bunch of questions from the very beginning, right? Like, who the hell are these titans? And what the fuck is going on? And this and that. But you never thought about the actual... you were asking yourself those questions, but you never thought about how important it was going to be at the end, or like what it was supposed to lead up to, I guess, or something like that. I'm making sense, I would hope, right? But... again, like, because now we're finally getting there, we're getting to sort of the final parts of the show, and it's becoming more and more clear, especially since, I guess, season 4, you could say, right? It's becoming more clear what the purpose of the story is, and that it is trying to be much more expressive. It feels earned, because you yourself have strapped yourself in for that ride, and you want it to become like that, right? You've invested so much time into it, and you... it has constantly been giving you a little extra piece to the puzzle, and it's made you so interested and eager to actually solve basically this whole thing, right? And the characters are doing it themselves. They are still in the middle of solving the situation too. And again, I love that about it, and I think this is why long-form content in general, it's not as popular, unfortunately, as short-form content these days, because people have very low attention spans. And like I said, all these platforms, social media platforms, are very much designed for it as well, right? People just scroll on that Twitter feed and see hundreds of tweets in the span of minutes. Same thing with YouTube, by the way, where, even these reaction videos or something, I can be very openly say, but I don't think it will come as a surprise, that, like, I can just look at my audience retention for a video, right? And there's maybe 10 to 20% that will actually watch the entire intros and outro sections. 80% is just there for the reactions, and even that, like, the majority usually ends up only watching, like, the really, I guess, most important parts. So people on average, they watch a minute or two of a video and they move on. People's attention spans have been trained to be super low. And again, you're doing yourself in that way, and I'm not trying to, give people orders here or something at all, right? People should do whatever the hell they want. But I've realized myself, I was kind of that I used to be in that sort of zombie mindset myself, that state of mind, and it was not doing me any favors. You know what I mean? So now I've really tried to, again, I stopped completely using most of those platforms. I'm still on YouTube, but I'm only subscribed to, like, a couple of channels that really do... Well, again, obviously I have my entertainment, and so my reaction videos and this and that. But for the more, I always try to make sure that the content I watch is high quality, and that it's, I don't know, that it is extensive, and that it doesn't train me to become that sort of, like, mindless consumer, if that makes sense, right? Which a lot of people nowadays, and I can't blame them once again for how everything is being designed in that way, right? But once again, it's something that I appreciate about this show too, because this show is not designed for the mindless consumers, if that makes sense. It may have sort of felt, well, I don't know about that, but it may have, for some people, it may have been that way or started that way again in the very beginning. But, like, as you're investing more and more time into it, it's becoming, like I said, more and more clear as well how, it is really trying to train people here to think in all kinds of directions. And it's been such an awesome learning, a growth process for me as well. And, I've fully admitted that myself. I mean, again, like, I've realized these things about myself, but at the same time, I am the first person to say that I'm not perfect either, right? And I'll be it is a process that you'll never fully be done with. And so it's fascinating with this show as well that, of course, there will be an end to it. And so I very much wonder what the end of it will be, because it seems like this is something that really could be going on forever if you think about it, right? It doesn't even necessarily feel like we're coming to an end here at all yet. It's also maybe, you know, like one of the things that I heard about the manga is that some people feel like the last couple chapters or something might feel a bit rushed or something. And I guess that sort of alludes to it, where like right now I don't even get the impression, although of course we've got the rumbling going on and Eren is going to do something there, and like there is definitely, you can tell that they would be able to come up with an ending now soon, but at the same time it still feels like at the same time it could go on forever. Am I making sense? Whatever. It's I don't know, it's just something that I wanted to touch on. Again, like I like diving into these topics, realizing now that I'm getting really close sort of to the end, and so I might as well just sort of like get stuff out of my system still, before we actually wrap up this thing, in the hopes that some people might find it interesting or something. But that being said, we are going to get into this new episode, like I said, called Retrospective. Of course, should you already want to watch my reaction to the finale of Season 4 Part 2, it will be up right now over on Patreon for you to check out. That's linked on top of the description. We've also started the Attack on Titan rewatch series, and I'm sure that over there I'll have a bunch more of this talking that I can do. That's the thing. The journey for me necessarily is not coming to an end, because we're going to do that thing too. And it's going to allow for plenty of opportunities to just continue the conversations. And I find it so fun because I talk about these things with my patrons in the comments as well. And we just, again, it's such a lively experience, right? It's like, it's, I don't know. That's why I've always said it's a ride that I never want to end, if that makes sense. Because I feel like intellectually it's really, you know, helping me to think in other directions and to, I don't know, come to conclusions that before I had never reached. So I enjoy that process because I enjoy educating myself and really growing and, trying to learn from things. So, like I said, of course, my reaction to the last episode is up over on Patreon. We've started the Attack on Titan rewatch. We've started Death Note as well, and should be like 7 episodes in probably there right now as well. Go check that out. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, of course. And then for now, we'll actually dive into this new episode of Attack on Titan. Yeah, so much for that. Because it's what it always comes to. That's again, man, it's like... So how do you even... This should even tell them that their plan will never succeed. Probably. Yeah, they're still fighting. I was thinking about that in the review already, but like this fight wasn't over yet. He just punched him right in. I will say I love the visuals here. Oh man, well I don't know how many people they're dealing with exactly. Yeah, okay. Okay, so that's out of the picture, I guess, this plan. Oh my god. Yeah, they were already in Marley. Huh. Well, so they're forced to come up with something else, I would assume. Okay. Would they still have time to save Liberio though? Oh boy. They just changed objectives very quickly there, but okay, they're going to this coastal town. But still, I mean, that half a day will still be necessary, right? They just won't have to be defending themselves. But it already went kind of fast. Like, what did they say? What damage Eren would do within 4 days? I like how the music is immediately kicking in. Such a signature Attack on Titan tune this is. Oh my god. Yo, can we at least take care of Flock right now then? Oh shit. He shielded them off with his hand. Yeah, they realized that those Azumith... that's not a word I want to pronounce, but... those guys are the keys. Damn. Yeah, I mean, I obviously I get where he's coming from. Still using that slogan. They're obviously worried that it'll just lead to their own destruction. I was actually wondering about that, yeah, like... The first transformation never goes well. I think Eren would disagree with that. I remember his first transformation. Well, actually, he did get... I don't know, he got like a bunch of damage done to him, I think. Okay, he's not happy with that either. Oh shit, they're here already. What was that? How? Is he struggling to turn into one or what? What the fuck? She just got beheaded. Yo, I'm kind of worried for Connie, to be honest. He's just putting it all on the line now. Yep, there's no going back. Oh my god. I will never be able to get over Peak. The one and only duck face. This is so well pictured once again. It's not looking good though. I think Falco just has to turn, yeah. That was him. Wow. Interesting how he looks different once again. I don't know if you want to be going up against Flock though, yeah. Man, look how this looks, dude. Awesome. Holy shit. Surely that's not his death, though. He got hit in the shoulder. He'll be fine. It's just raining blood. Literally. What's he doing? Why is he... Ah, okay. Okay, no, they were really just trying to, like, get him out. But he refused at first. Okay, well, they departed. I got left behind, I guess. Ah, Keith? What, was he the one who also blasted the train, or what? Ah, had to defend it still. Oh, there's already some on board. Yeah, we saw him in the window there, right? But we couldn't make out who it was. They locked themselves up in here. Are they about to do what I think they're doing? I guess so. Damn, man. Sacrificed themselves for the greater good. Yeah, I was already thinking that's not something Annie will be happy about, obviously. I was already worried they weren't even going to give us an answer. I definitely don't want to watch the preview though, but guys, let's go to the review. Yeah, that was such a great send-off, honestly, especially there to Maggot and Keith, of course, you know, sacrificing themselves and blowing themselves up along with that entire boat with Jaegerus on it. The boat that they could have used to still catch up, essentially, with, you know, all our guys. It's, I don't know, I mean, it's like, yeah, I will say, like, I've really warmed up, especially to Keith, right? Because Keith Shaders, who... I still remembered him from way back, of course, in season 1. I'll never forget that third episode. It's funny because I remember, again, watching the third episode for the first time. I feel like I still quite vividly know everything that happened in that episode. Which is hilarious because at the time it sort of seemed like filler. To me, I think after episode 3, I talked about how that episode sort of felt like filler, like, oh yeah, look, all these guys are getting ready or something, right? Whereas right now, if you would go back to it with all the knowledge that you have and knowing where all the characters end up and what the deal is with them and stuff, it's gonna tell you so much. That's why I'm already incredibly excited to get back and rewatch it very soon. But when I think of Keith, I always think back to that scene with Sasha, right, with the potato and everything, and just how harsh and humiliating he was to other people, and just tough as hell, essentially, right? And then in recent seasons, I should say, that was already that bystander episode, which is another episode that I feel like I really want to rewatch, especially because I already loved that episode when I saw it, but people did tell me that I apparently missed a lot in that one. And there were a lot of sort of like subtle hints and things that apparently, again, I didn't even notice that. Like, I want to make sure that I check that another time. But now just the two of them. Maggot as well. Like, Maggot was one of those characters. We've seen him a lot, actually, in season 4, obviously, as the commander of the Marlians and stuff. But at the same time, it's easy to overlook him, I guess, or not really talk about it or something. He doesn't necessarily have this warm personality either, right, that makes you want to think much about him, if that makes sense. Or but again, both of those characters have been such driving forces recently, in very subtle ways, I guess, especially Keith. And so that scene that they had there at the end, I really liked it. It's at the same time, what's a little bit weird to me right now is just the realization that I have, again, one episode left, if I didn't already say it enough. But it's like, and I knew that was what it was going to be. It was going to be not necessarily unsatisfactory, but like, this is not going to be the full end of it yet or something, right? Whereas for me, it's like a whole journey is about to be coming to an end, and I know that it's going to leave me somewhere where there's still more to be told. And so it's a little bit surreal at the same time, because I realize now that, like, oh, I'd want to have a lot of things to say and to reflect on, because again, we're coming to the end of it, but it's not really the end either. So yeah, it's like, man, we kind of got that extra variable added to the storyline at the very beginning of the episode, right? Where they talked about, well, this plan using the flying boat to get to Eren ASAP and have him stop the rumbling and talk him out of it. Yeah, that's not gonna go as easily and quickly as they would have hoped. These mechanics needed plenty of time to actually prepare the boats. They'd have to be defending themselves on the dock here with a bunch of Jaegerists showing up, which was impossible because the Titans can only last a couple hours. So they had to go to this other dock, basically, and go there by boat and get everything ready there in sort of a safe spot, I guess, right? But what that would mean is that a lot of time has to pass, and it means that Eren can do more damage. And that means now, as we're seeing at the end, it basically means the destruction of Liberia already. This is the one thing that I will say, we didn't see it. So I find that, I mean, we could still see it last episode. It makes me wonder if it actually is going to happen or not, or if maybe, again, like, well, we haven't really followed Eren yet, right? So although we do, of course, know that he's going there with all of his Titans, trampling everything in his path, could that be something still that stops him? I don't know, that's what I wonder about. But obviously, yeah, Annie... It's quite saddening to see, of course, what it does to Annie, because Annie made it very clear in one of the recent episodes that basically the only reason she had still to fight was her dad. And, her dad will obviously be a victim if Liberio ends up being trampled. So, once again, the one thing that it does make me wonder is like, okay, it wasn't actually pictured here, whereas they could have done it already, I guess, if it was going to happen. They could have just showed it in this episode immediately, but they didn't. So I don't know, I always keep those things kind of in mind for, like, the show is very purposeful sometimes with what it does and what it doesn't show you. Of course, also when it comes to a lot of characters that could potentially die or, cliffhanger endings or something, you're always able to kind of make up what the consequences of that could be, for example, right? And so, I don't know. I could be entirely wrong, though. Other than that, is there still really anything else for me to touch on? We saw Falco use his Jaw Titan for the first time, which was cool to see. I mean, I guess it was sort of more used to show that, like, okay, he wanted to give himself, and he was prepared to, even knowing that like it wasn't a realistic option, and that on the first time, I guess is what they talked about, people never really use their Titan powers well, and they are vulnerable, if that makes sense. He didn't care. He was just there to protect people, right? But in the end, did get saved. So I guess that's the we got the best outcome out of it for what could have possibly happened, being that yes, Maggot and Keith had to sacrifice themselves, but everybody else got out, right? And so that's it's not exactly surprising to me once again, because I feel like this is very much a pattern that the show has been headed in, if that makes sense, right? A lot of it doesn't necessarily kill off the real good guys, if that makes sense, like the characters that we follow the most. It doesn't do that often. Of course, Sasha was the most recent real casualty who I would consider to be among basically that group. But at the same time, and that's the thing that I've said, I feel like it is all sort of like all cards will be on the table, and it's for the ending, basically, is what I'm trying to say. It would not surprise me if at the very end of the show suddenly there are a bunch of characters that could actually still die as a consequence of what happens. So who knows? I mean, dude, it might literally end with just the whole world basically being destroyed and everybody dying. Would not surprise me, you know what I mean? Probably not, but I don't know. Yeah, really all that I can say for now is just that like we're getting closer and closer to to the final episode there, obviously, for me right now, and that's where I guess I'll just be doing a lot more thinking right now, leading up to that. I'm gonna take another, just one more week of reflecting on everything, and maybe coming up with some theories for what I think could actually then happen, and to have a real, good overview, I guess, of my predictions going into part 3. But I'm excited for it, man. It's once again, it's kind of bittersweet, because at the same time I just realized that like this what is it, 8-9 month journey that I've been on of watching episodes back to back for the show will be coming to an end next time. But that being said, I really hope you enjoyed my reaction to this episode of Attack on Titan. Of course, the last episode will already be up over on Patreon if you want to check it out right now. Link on top of the description, of course. That will be part of the lowest tier on Patreon. So go and consider that if you want. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. We have also started the Attack on Titan rewatch reactions over there, as well as Death Note, which many people have been requesting me to check out. So all of that stuff, we should be like 7 episodes into both of those things. You can go check it out right now if you want, but I hope you enjoyed this reaction, and then I look forward to seeing you back for the last episode of Season 4, Part 2, very soon.